Hey, welcome back to A Conversation With. My name is Philip DeFranco, and today we have the goodest of boys back on, Steve Zaragoza.
Hi! Hi, Phil.
That's what I refer to you as, the goodest of boys, the man who no longer texts me when they're playing Fall Guys. Piece of shit. A man that if my emotionally exhausted shirt turned into a person, that's who we have on. For those that do not know I don't care if they don't know who Steve is. This is solid content, even if they don't know who he is. But just in case, Steve, who are you? Sum it up in 30 seconds.
I'm a wacky boy that was hired by an insane madman named Philip DeFranco years ago. I'd say 20 plus on a show called SourceFed, and I was one of his star pupils. I was, maybe the best person on the whole channel, SourceFed and SourceFed nerd. And now I'm just this kind of guy that shows up in shit sometimes.
Nailed it. Crushed it. And also he's on the Valley Folk now.
And I'm on the Valley Folk now, yeah. And a show called The Wayward Guide for the Untrained Eye. That's another plug. Dude, Joe and I and Brett have been playing Fall Guys, which, by the way, we'd love to have you back.
Wait. That's where the fuck I want to start this conversation. What happened? I have realized in this fucking situation that I am either the fifth friend or the 11th friend because we played Fall Guys one fucking time.
No, we played more than once. Well, we played like 3 times. Let's address this. Let's talk about this because it's one of those things where it's like I get onto Fall Guys, I start a party chat, and then I see who's online, and I send the invite to whoever's online, and then I go into Fall Guys, and I send the invite to whoever's online, and then whoever jumps in first is my team, and if someone drops out, then I'm like looking down the list for the next person. Like I hardly ever go like texting the guys and go like, let's jump on Fall Guys, unless it's like, a later night thing. And by the way, speaking of later night things, I seem to remember you not really wanting to do super late night sessions because you're busy. You're a busy boy. Because
I'm a grown person, Steve. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to successfully monetize continuing to be a child in my 30s, you son of a bitch.
Look, let me just say, Brett Register, a mutual friend of ours.
He is a man-child in the best possible way.
He has a child, and he's on the East Coast, and he's playing at like 3 a.m. with us, like East Coast time. So like 3 a.m. East Coast. So, not 3 a.m. for us. That's ridiculous. But like a lot of times we'll play late at night, and I just remember you don't really play late at night. So I'm just like, I guess Phil probably won't play with us.
haven't seen 3 a.m. in 5 years. The only time I've seen 3 a.m. is when I accidentally wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, well, I guess my day has started. Maybe I'll catch you on a morning.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think this is a great opportunity for us to, since we're seeing each other face to face here, or at least digital to digital face to face, that we are going to be better at inviting each other to play Fall Guys.
I like that you've made it a mutual thing.
Well, you could text me too and be like, bro, I got an hour. You want to play some Fall Guys?
Yeah, okay.
It's a two-way street, Phil.
It is a two-way street. Sorry, I'm just realizing we're having a different version of the conversation I have with my dad all the time. He's like, you never call me. I was like, you tried to call me 2 times 2 weeks ago while I was working during the hours I'm working. And you were like, I guess I'll just never talk to him again. I guess I'll just give up on my fucking only son.
I like to remind my parents that they're retired.
I'm higher on the list. Yes, I got other things on the list.
Right. I don't even know where I'm going to be in 5 years. Like, I need to figure my life out. I need to make sure I'm on the straight and narrow and I'm going to be okay. You guys are retired. We'll talk when I have free time,
Steve, how old are you?
38.
And how many years into your midlife crisis do you think you are?
Well, I think I figured out that what was it? It was some number like, I think I'm at least 10 years younger in my brain.
Okay.
And I think this goes for a lot of older people. That fluctuates between 10 and 5 or whatever. But I feel like I'm late to everything with my age, right? Like I'm late to when you should be getting to, they say that like, what are those things they say that happen when you hit your 30s or something? You get like the I don't know. There's all these like weird milestones that people talk about when they're 21, or when they're 18 and all of those things. And it's like my 18 was like 25. And like cause when you're 18, you're like, I'm gonna get my license.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking go to the porno shop. I'm gonna do all this. I'm gonna buy some cigarettes and throw them away. I'm gonna do all these things I couldn't do before I was 18. And I turned 18 and I was like, I want to play with my toys still and play video games. And then I was 25 and I was like, I guess I'll get my license and go to the porn shop now. Yeah. I'm kind of late to the game. So I think my midlife crisis is coming when I'm like 50.
Well, because I was thinking, and once again, this might be just me, like just pure conjecture and completely wrong from the outside. And I think we talked about this a little maybe last time you were on. I feel like you evolved as a human being, and maybe even like then there was like that change for you after your divorce. I feel like that's like. I was like, oh, so this is Steve. This is the Steve that was like bubbling up, trying to get out.
Yeah, I think I just like really was a go with the flow kind of guy for a really, really long time. And someone who is more alpha than me in my life and is close to me can dictate my direction pretty much. And I felt like when I was married, I got married because I felt like, well, this person really wants to marry me. And I don't feel like anyone will ever really want to marry me. And the fact that this person does means that I need to jump into this and lock it in right away. And then I need to assimilate to marriage life and then homeowner life and then all of those things. And I was kind of just like coasting along while my ex-wife did all the work. And then when it came time to be like, oh shit, this isn't the life I want. I didn't want this in the first place. And I jumped into it from a place of severe insecurity and severe lack of control of my own life and things that I needed to do and wanted to do. And then so I was like, fuck, I guess I could take control of my life and stop hurting people like my ex-wife by like pretending that married life and being a husband and maybe having children are things that like I don't want, and it's like it's hurtful to someone that wants all of those things. And I just came to a point where I was like, this is hurtful to my ex, this is hurtful to me, this is hindering my life. And then so after the divorce, I was just like, well, shit, now I'm just like free. I could get an apartment somewhere and I could kind of do whatever the hell I want. And I'm not hurting someone in the process by like focusing on myself. And it was like for the first time in my life, I was focusing fully kind of on myself. And then I learned kind of that the insecurities are all in here and all those things you learn when you grow up, and maybe it was just a little later for me like everything else is.
Yeah, I mean, actually on that last note, that makes me think of it's like my favorite thing that I've heard over the past year. It's like, you are not your thoughts. I love that because it's like those voices in your head. I don't know about you completely. They're so full of self-sabotage. It's just like, that's not gonna be a great thing. Just stay in your safe little box.
I'm just in my head too much. And there's some things that have not changed from married Steve to now. A lot of those like self-destructive thoughts are still there. The things that are like, hey, I'm going to do this thing because it makes me happy. And then my brain goes like, yeah, but you're a lazy piece of shit and you don't deserve that. And it's like, fuck you, brain. And it's like, it's not as loud as it was, but you're right, man. It's like, you're not that. Those things are like old programming from, upbringing, from friends, pop culture, whatever you want to blame it on. And your friends and neighbors and community and all of those things are a big aspect of that, I think. But it's like, dude, I'm 38 and I'm barely like, you can reprogram your brain. It just takes a really long time and it takes a lot of work, just like everything else that's good that you have access to, but it just takes a lot of fucking work. And it's like, and we're managing a pandemic and political shit and all this stuff. So it's
I was gonna say it feels like we're all sponges and we're having to wring out, but it's like no, because that sounds too simple. I feel like it's more there's shit in a shag carpet, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of shit that's just gonna go way down to the bottom and you'll never get it. There's the shit that's like right on the top of the carpet that you can get off and it'll look nice. But there's the stuff deep down that's you gotta like get into the fibers and get that brush and get in there and
so what's one of the biggest things that you're trying to get out of your carpet, Steve?
Dude, honestly, like I have intense like self-image issues. Like I don't see myself as this like, and people say like my girlfriend is this like beautiful angel from a different planet. And somehow she like sees this like cute, handsome guy. And when I look in the mirror, I just see this like, this potato man, and I've never been able to not see the potato man, and it's a real thing. I think a lot of people have that, and most people have a tiny version of that at least. But that's like my thing. It's like I want to be able to look in the mirror and be like, I fucking love this guy more than anything in the world. And this guy needs to be protected and taken care of. And I got to do the things to make this guy be good. And instead, I look at that guy and I go, this potato man's fucking up. Let me get away from this mirror and go figure shit out.
Well, so I guess on that note, what whether it be emotionally, mentally, or physically, have you taken like a first step towards trying to address that?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I had some pretty hardcore therapy sessions, like I'd say a year ago, with this new therapist that I was just like, I need to go to therapy. It was right after my breakup with Bree, and I was like learning a lot of things about how I handled that relationship. And, you're always learning and you're learning from different people. And Bree is just this amazing person that taught me so much. And but when we broke up, it was like, I need to go figure some shit out about myself. I need to know why I did this. I need to know why I'm like that. And also I need to figure out this self-love shit. So I went into some like super deep therapy sessions with this great therapist. And she was just like, she basically told me, you have to, if you want to change the way you see yourself and if you want to love yourself, you have to pretend at first. You have to you have to make it a point to look at yourself in the mirror and just go, whether you don't believe it or not, just say, I love this guy. This guy gets the job done. He gets me out of bed. He gets me, he's breathing. He's got everything, he's lucky. You go down all the list of all the good things. And then you go like, I love this guy. And then you walk away. And it's like, so she would take me to the mirror in the office and be like, do it. And I'd be like, I don't know why I can't do this. Like, I can't even do it with my therapist because it just feels it felt disingenuous and it didn't feel real and it felt like I was just fooling myself. But I guess that's those are the first steps. And eventually you do that enough to the point where like you believe it. And then once you believe it, then you can really analyze like how you got there and like what all that was and how you had to fool yourself in the beginning, which isn't necessarily like maybe the best way to do it. But I tried and I can't make my brain like, it's just my brain is on this loop of like fail, like way in the back. And it's just like, I can't destroy that loop for some reason, even with like faking, I love myself, I love what I do, I love what my body does for me type shit. It's like really, so I just kind of like gave up on it. And then things got really shitty with the Valley folk, as you remember, not too long ago. And then all this shitty shit happened. And when I needed my therapist the most, I stuck around a little bit longer and dealt with all those feelings and stuff. But all the self-love stuff took a back seat to the immediate, like, fixing my emotional status and making sure I'm not depressed every single day over the decisions that we had to make and you know, big changes in our lives. So it's kind of just all taking a back seat, man. I know what the first steps are, and they're really good first steps. And I have all these books and audiobooks, and my therapist was just like, read these books, listen to these audiobooks, and I guarantee it'll just click someday. It's just like exercising, right? If you do it every day and you fucking eat well and you put the work in, you're gonna look good and you're gonna feel good and it's gonna help all of this shit. But it's like hard.
It's very hard.
Fucking hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's whether it be like on purpose, like shit meant to like that taste a certain way and get you addicted to it. And then you're just like, this is the way, or just emotionally. I know that during the pandemic, I've put on weight. I'm like the biggest I've been in a while, but I want to go back. So like with your girlfriends, what's something outside of her loving you, right? Or caring about you? Like what's a thing that you not aspire might be the wrong word, but like, what's something that like you, what's the word? It's so close. You respect and appreciate about her. Like where does she get her value? Where does she get her happiness?
So Alana is this like unfathomable being. Like, and I say that because she's my girlfriend and I love her and I'm biased, but you know, she's just this like ray of sunshine, and I feel like I've always kind of been my own kind of ray of sunshine, right? And I've heard people talk about, and even my therapist talked about this light that people have. And there's some people just have a light, whatever that means. It's like they come into the room and they brighten a room or something, you know? Or they come into the room and you just see like that person looks happy. I want to feel that happiness. I want that light to warm me up. And I've been told that I have a kind of a power like that, or whatever you want to call it. It's that kind of a light. And I have never really, I can't really articulate what that is and how to tap into that really. But then I met Alana and I saw this like light in her that I had never seen in anybody really ever. And she just I was like, I need to be with this person. Like I need to get to know this person. I need to at least become very good friends with this person. Cause I've never seen such a light in someone really ever. So what I see in her is that she was just brought up with really mental health positive and body positive and health positive fundamentals. And I was brought up in like, you know, kind of like a lower middle class Mexican household in kind of a shitty neighborhood in Oxnard. And we were like, you know, shoveling McDonald's into our mouths and dodging bullets in the neighborhood and gang fights and all sorts of crazy shit. And, you know, and learning the hard knocks stuff and then being thrown right into the lion's den of the public school system of a place like that. And, you know, learning a lot of wrong things about mental health and, you know, not to a fault of my parents or my family or whatever, because my mom was always like super religious, all about love your neighbor and love yourself like you love your neighbor, or, you know, treat people the way you want to be treated, and everybody deserves love. And so that was like maybe where that light in me comes from. And Alana's mom just kind of like taught her all of these positive things about health and body and mind and spirituality and all of these things that like made her this like incredibly unique person with a perspective that I've just never encountered in like LA friendships and like California friendships, you know?
Well, a lot of California friendships can feel like passerby relationships. Yeah.
And also there's like just a lot of exports and people that just want to get into the industry or whatever California has to offer. And I don't know. I mean, I maybe there's not much of a connection between the exports, but I just think that I just have never met anybody like her before. And then in getting to know her, and in we would talk on the phone for hours when we were getting to know each other. And she would just tell me these things about like loving yourself and being happy with your body and all of these things. And it just sounded so foreign to me. Like, I've never had a friend talk about that. I have friends talk about like, oh, let's go to the woods and do mushrooms, or let's do this shit. And that's a form of connecting with yourself in some ways, I guess. But Alana was just all about this kind of like, the universe is offering you guidance and happiness and love, and you just have to like navigate the dark shit and find it and then just go that way. And I just respect that so much about her. And it's taught me to be a little bit more aware of kind of like, just kind of like outside things that might create negative thoughts and negative feelings. And I don't know, man, I struggle through it though.
Yeah. So in your childhood, would you say that there was like this mentality of like when stuff was bad, you just kind of grit your teeth and go through it and you have to suck it up? Or like, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and dad were, my dad was the suck it up and it's all in your head. And
was he like a macho guy?
Yeah, super machismo dude who's very much like, hey man, if you're sad, like just don't think about it, and then you won't be sad anymore. And my mom would
just
be like,
bury it inside until the only way you can get the feeling out is with a bullet in your mouth.
Right. Right, to feel something. If you want to feel something, son, put this gun in your mouth. It's not loaded. Don't worry. No, but he's not an insane person, but it's not his fault. Like, he comes from old school. Like, he was born in Mexico and like way, whatever, in the 40s or something.
Yeah.
And imagine the machismo in that household, like it must have been like truly like, I'll beat the shit out of you if I see you cry.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, especially for a lot of people coming from certain places and certain times, like I think hard times make hard people, because otherwise
totally.
But it's one of those things of like, but then you enter a different area, right? An area where it's like, okay, you can put down some walls. Yeah, there are going to be some things that never change. There's always going to be people that are trying to get over on you in some way, or use you or manipulate you or hurt or take. But I don't know. I feel like I have to do the kind of opposite thing rather than trying to open up, of just like properly putting up the right walls.
It's important too.
Yeah. Because so it's just finding that. But also, compared to my dad, I'm soft. So
I mean, I'm like I'm like a marshmallow compared to my dad. Like, my dad's seen and done some shit. Like, I don't know, he might have killed a man for all I know, but but in self-defense, I think. But but he's just this hardened man.
Yeah.
The traditional, some would say toxic masculine version of a man.
Well, there's a lot of that now. Like the fact that someone could be like, you're going to wear a mask because you want to let others feel safe? Go fuck yourself, pussy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What?
It's like,
it's not keeping me safe. It's not for me.
Right.
This is just me being considerate, you fuckface.
I've gone beyond being angry at those people, and I'm now at a point where I'm like, that person's dealing with some real terrible shit, probably, like in their life and in their head. So I'm just gonna let them have their anger and like kind of not let it affect me.
Lindsay's my wife's mom lives in Bama, and she has all sorts of amazing stories, like going into places where you have to have masks. I forget if Walmart has a policy, but I know she said like she was in a Walmart and she saw someone with the surgeon mask, but on purpose. There were holes punched in it, like it's kind of like a fuck you,
just to be a snarky troll.
Yeah, and I was just like, God, what the fuck? What is it? How did
that person's so angry about it? They want to piss people off.
They went the next step. That's the thing.
They went the next step. They went out of their way to cut holes in the mask just to piss people off.
The other day, like once again, I'm like, I'm in the worst shape of my life. I ran for one of the first times the other day just to kind of test it out. I ran with a mask and I was like, if I can do this,
yeah,
And you legit don't have like asthma, and that's like a whole can of worms. Where there are people that have breathing difficulties that are like, it's okay.
Excuses, I think.
Yeah, it's just like there's no reason, man.
Yeah,
let's act like we're in something together, because we are in it together.
I guess the one I think about is like when surgeons. There are surgeons that perform like 5-hour surgeries and shit, right? Like maybe even longer than that. And they're wearing those masks the whole fucking time. It's like, if those guys can do surgery and wear this like mask over their face the whole time, then like we can fucking walk down to the grocery store. We could certainly shop for half an hour or whatever, how long it takes. It's so simple. It's just, there's so much anger and combative feelings and just like and those walls, the wrong walls, the walls that are like the empathy wall is up, like, and the kind of like the care of other people wall is up, and those are bad walls to put up.
Hey, beautiful bastards. I hope you're still enjoying the podcast. I just wanted to take a second to thank one of the sponsors of today's show, Calm. I think we all love sleep. Most of us want and need more of it. Rather than getting a solid night of rest, if you're like me, you find yourself on TikTok or you're going through Twitter, reading the breaking news when you really should just be powering down for the night. And let's face it, 2020 has been a lot. We could all benefit from less stress and more sleep in our lives, and that's why I'm excited to partner with Calm. Calm is the app designed to help you relieve your anxiety at nighttime so you can stress less and you can get the best sleep of your life. And Calm has a whole library of programs designed for healthy sleep, like soundscapes, guided meditations, and over 100 sleep stories narrated by soothing voices like Stephen Fry, Laura Dern, and even Nick Offerman. Also, over 85 million people around the world use Calm to take care of their minds and get better sleep. And if you go to calm.com/DeFranco, you'll get a limited time offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription, which includes hundreds of hours of programming. So get the Calm app and experience a transformation in the way you sleep. And once again, because I love the sound of my voice and repeating stuff, for listeners of the show, Calm is offering a special limited time promotion of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/DeFranco. That's 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library, and new content is added every week. So to get started today, go to calm.com/DeFranco. And ooh, I love hearing it so much. Once more, just in case you missed it, that is calm.com/DeFranco. But with that said, let's get back to the podcast. How are you planning for the end of the year right now?
I'm not. Like, I think I'm still sliding on my go with the flow kind of mentality a little bit, because it also has gotten me like through all of these incredibly lucky opportunities. Like everything I've ever done that I'm proud of feels to me like a go with the flow type thing, that just like, if I don't resist, then I'll just slide into these opportunities, because I guess that's just, I don't know, that's how it's been working for me in some way. And I'm like dumbfounded by it. I don't understand how it's possible, but I don't know, man. I think we're going to be in this thing. Someone said, like, I don't know if they were joking. I've heard that we're still going to need to wear masks and social distance and quarantine for at least another year, right? Like, you've heard that.
I mean, there are a bunch of different estimates. I mean, honestly, there are like a few key experts, and among those, Dr. Fauci, that I listen to, and I'm like, okay, so what's the general idea? But also, it's it feels so weird that we just that there's like a huge chunk of the country that like hates people that went to college for a specific thing. It's so fucking weird. It's like, it's like, what do they know? It's like, well, they specifically went to school for this thing. And for some reason, you're listening to a number of people who don't have that specialty. They're in like different specialties, but they're saying things that you want.
Right.
And it's very rough. But I mean,
how do you get people to like understand that? Like, I think, because the opposite side of that is someone who's educated, a doctor or a scientist that went to school and years and years and years of studying and whatever to learn about health and medicine. And it's like, the person that doesn't believe that person, do they think that like they're just brainwashed by a liberal agenda, or like they're being taught things that are being taught by the enemy, you know, like what is the thought there? I just don't understand it.
I mean, I think that there, in some avenues, there's this idea that it is like team based and shit like that. But I think a lot of this comes down to, I mean, I reference this, I feel like, consistently over the past few months in different avenues, kind of false equivalencies, right? So if someone is saying something and then someone is saying something else, and even if there's far more people saying the other thing and people with, once again, like the specific specialty and like the expertise in the years, they treat it as like one and the same. And it's like you get to choose. You get to choose whatever suits you. And I think that's a real concern, especially because there's also a lot of the time you have to find like where money is coming from, because you'll see something where it's like, there was a study found by insert blah, blah, blah group. And to make it something not COVID related, you find out, oh, that group, or maybe they're funded by, or they are themselves like a think tank for insert a political party, or if they're part of like the oil lobby industry, right? And then you're like, oh, so immediately you have to question what you're seeing there. But a lot of the time, to find that out, like, you have to take the additional steps that, understandably, it's scary because everyone's participating these days, but understandably, like, the average person does not have the time to do. Most people just want to live their fucking life. And so I think that's part of the issue of, like, I know some people have referenced it as like an infodemic, but it's really hard for a lot of people to know what is real. Like, and I think that's one of the frustrating things when we've had Dr. Mike on. He always kind of talks about it as far as like, if you're in this world and you're a scientist or a doctor, you have to have some sense of humility that new information may arise and prove that something you thought that was one way is another. If you find yourself completely locked, regardless of like the validity of this new information, that's a huge problem. But I've also seen people like Nate Silver from 538.com say there is something, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's something along the lines of, once someone has their master's, or once someone has, it's like, I think some degree or some level, they are actually, he has found that they are less open to new information because they're so self-assured. So I think it's a problem for a lot of people at a lot of different levels. And so, and I mean, you even have to kind of fight yourself, because it's like, with a Trump, there is so much that's fucking scary with him. But then,
where do we even start?
Yeah, but it's like when certain people go like, okay, but he did lower taxes, and it's like, okay, yes, he did lower taxes. Granted, it's better for the much better for the higher tax bracket, and that's what it's aimed for. And it's also, let's not talk about our just record-breaking levels of national debt that we're now in. But it's like, that is a thing that he actually did, and it affected some people in a positive way. It's like, I can acknowledge that while at the same time going, but all of this other shit is scary. And obviously it's not just one thing. And also, you know, it touches on the sensitivity, not the sensitivity, the not nuance, but the issue with it being a campaign promise. Yes, you got a little extra money, but a lot of people that are that are not going to help you in any way, because it's not going to trickle down to you, got way better, and it was always aimed at that 1%. That's why it happened. So I think, that's I don't know.
I guess Steve, it comes down to it comes back to like putting work in, right? Like for everybody, like what you were saying about how if there's a bunch of people saying the same thing about a very common thing, or like about how evil someone is, and then listing off the same things, and it's like all of these different people are saying it, but then this like one person is saying something that's more aligned with your interests or level of care, or level of effect of how it affects you. And then it's like but if you put in just a little bit of work to read all of the things, then you'd be able to like figure out that there's something a little off here on the other side.
But that's the thing is, like, I think that it's genuinely hard for most people. Like, if you have like a regular ass job, you got some kids, your whole morning, kids getting set up for school, right? Then you have your whole day of work. You got a little lunch break, maybe. maybe you can look. Then you get home. You want to, like, obviously this is I've already established that this person has kids. Apparently, you're playing with the kids. Maybe you're hanging out with a wife, husband, whoever, and then you get a little time to yourself. And then, like, if this was not my job, and also we weren't living in a genuinely horrifying time for a number of reasons, I wouldn't want to pay attention. I agree. I am a very big fan of the idea of like make news boring again. I don't like I made the mistake of telling someone that I work in the news space, and they're like, "Oh, good for business." So I was like, "Yes and no." like you get more people watching certain things, but it's so divisive and it's so like it's horrible to witness like just how horrible people are being to one another. And at the same time, like I would rather have a day where I'm like, this is fuck. What are we going to talk about? Maybe we just don't do the show today, rather than, oh my God, everything's on fire. What do we talk about?
And then how do we handle that? And then like, what's the best way to handle that?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially because a lot of people treat a lot of situations like it's far more simple than it is.
Sure.
Like, and the thing is, there are some that are like black and white. I'm not going to be like both sides, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but that gray area is real, like huge.
On a number of places. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I don't know what, like, that's the kind of thing. We were talking about it before the podcast started. There were people trying to like schedule a meeting for November 6th. And I was like, dude, we don't know what life's going to look like. We don't know what life's going to look like for at least 7 days. My calendar is going to be a little bit of a question mark until January 20th.
I need to figure out if I'm gonna fully lean into becoming a refugee and just being like packing all of my bags.
You're gonna go to New Zealand?
Yeah, and just sneaking into New Zealand, like not trying to get there the right way because it's hard. Like I'm talking about like getting on a boat, hiding in a crate, get me out of the U.S. type shit. Like I'm not anticipating that, but if someone was like, hey, let's have a meeting on the 3rd, I'm gonna be like, I don't know if I'm gonna be okay. I don't know where I'm gonna be.
I was talking to a guy, and I'm trying to think how to make it so people wouldn't know who he is.
Obvious.
I was talking to this guy, and he recently was like, I'm genuinely so nervous about this election because fuck what a poll says, vote. Like who fucking has trust in anything at this point? But he was like, I'm looking into, there are these like island countries that if you invest like $500,000 in and like into like the country, it can kind of like fast track you to becoming like a dual citizen there. And then from there you can get to, and they like talked about all these other countries, and I was like, oh, you're like thinking of running away. I was like, oh shit.
Listen, you were asking me, do I have my year planned out? There are some people that have they have everything planned out. Yeah. They're like, people, I remember hearing about bug out bags and how those were things that you would have just in case things went south. I can't imagine, like, there's got to be people that are like, I have a group of people together that we're all putting money together and we're totally buying some island and we're just going to go fucking figure it out because we just don't want to be here anymore. We don't want to deal with this anymore.
Hey, I keep seeing these videos pop up and then they go like super, super viral. Do you know anyone that's like left California in the past year?
Not the past year. Well, California. Yeah. California.
But
yes.
Is that more just because California is too much of insert blank, or like their career just wasn't panning out?
I think it was mostly due to pandemic causing people to not be able to afford to live in California anymore or LA anymore, and then going back home to family and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen once the moratorium on evictions ends.
Yeah.
Like that. Have you seen anything with like neighbors or anything around like that?
No, not really. I mean, I'm in a text thread with my neighbors, and everyone seems to be just kind of like, I've got ants. Like nobody really wants to talk about like.
Well, yeah. No, it's like, I'm very nervous about this thing in my life. Here, let me be very vulnerable on the group chat with strangers. I think the group chat's more like, hey, is that person outside someone's friend, or is someone about to get murdered?
Someone is urinating in the azaleas on the outside. No, not really. I mean, there's certainly like, kind of like,
sorry.
Nudgy.
I'm just remembering, my wife. So we just got new neighbors, and Lindsay's like, I want to know who they are. And like, she asked the realtor, because it was someone that we had worked with, like, hey, can we get their number? Because we'd like to, we saw they have 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. And so Lindsay was like, I want to know who they are, because they said that they have, it's like the mom and the dad have these jobs. And she was like, how do I get their name? Like, how do I get their full name so I can Google them? And I was like, 1, that's super weird, Lindsay. Like, that's super weird. But also, 2, I have no idea how you would get a last name off of a hello. And so her route, sorry to just put you on blast, Lindsay, her route was she sent a text message, and then I think it was a text message, which makes it better, and she ends it with her full name.
That's not a bad move.
And then he responded, and he didn't even give her a first name. He used his initials. And I was just like, you're stupid.
Oh, because he probably knows that trick. He's like, this person wants to know who I am.
Yeah.
And I know how to deal with that. Here's my initials.
But then I was like, I hate that idea of, and it's probably the case, especially like now that it's like you have kids at school and you have to meet all these other people that you normally would never come across. But I was like, how many people have Googled my name? And how fucking deep into this are they going?
I mean, I can kind of relate, because, we're stuck, and I'm sure you guys are stuck, and Lindsay's stuck. And like, I go out on my balcony, and I like, at night, the neighbors like across the way, their lights are on, and you could see into their living rooms and their bedrooms and things like that. And I'll be out on my balcony, like smoking a joint, and I'll just be like, I miss people. I wonder what those people are up to. I wonder who that person is. I wonder if I like looked on Twitter, and you know how there used to be that thing where you could like geolocate where tweets are coming from? I was like, I wonder if I could go on Twitter and geolocate these people and just see who they are, and maybe just like, hey, if you're cool, like let's be friends or something. And in a weird way, I understand Lindsay wanting to like, especially with there being kids there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing. Yeah,
right. It's like if there's kids, maybe
they're close to the same age as our kids. Yeah,
and that's always a thing you got to think about when you got kids, obviously, because you want your kids to have friends and play, and especially during a time like this.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand it, but it's like, going the extra mile. I mean, like, I need this person's last name so I can Google them. Like, I just want to look at their Instagram. Is that weirder, or is that just as weird? I can't tell.
God. Wait. So do you ever go out at all? For like a walk to
Alana and I will go do our essential shopping, and then like I'll get invited to like last night Alana and I went to the Lovecraft Country finale premiere.
How was that?
It was wonderful. It was an amazing experience. I mean, HBO
I love that fucking show.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
I tweeted about it the other day, but I was like, there's literally a thing at least one thing in every episode. I'm like, what the fuck? Like when they did the metamorphosis like body change thing,
dude,
wild. That show is amazing.
Just leaving piles of skin everywhere, and like, dude, it's such a trip. And so it was at the event last night was at a drive-in, and this is like the third drive-in like event I've been to, because normally throughout the year, if you're like a big dumb movie nerd like me and you're on the internet making shit, studios will eventually invite you to come to things. And be in the before times, like you would go to a movie theater and you'd sit in the theater and watch a thing, or you'd go to a red carpet premiere or something. And now it's just like drive-ins. And I'd never been to drive-ins in my life, and it turns out I kind of don't like them. But I would rather sit in my car with like In-N-Out and like my vape pen with the windows up and the AC on and all the lights off, and just you got your own little private little pod to watch like a movie, which is cool. But I miss the theater experience, man. I miss it so much. So I do that. I do those kind of things. I don't see friends. I have so many friends that are like, at this point, I feel like they've given up on me because I'm so paranoid about the like pod thing, because everybody needs to be aligned and it needs to be an honor system. You got to trust everybody. And it's not that I don't trust my friends. It's just that like, look, if you're getting like food delivered to your home, you could potentially get COVID. It's very easy to get it from the grocery store or whatever if you're not careful. And it's just like, and my friends are like, hey, let's go like, or let's hang out somewhere or something. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know when I'll be ready for that.
Yeah. I've seen Kevin one time in person in the last 6 months, and it was like a month ago, and it was right after he got cleared by 2 COVID tests. And I was like, okay. And we met outside. You got 2 tests. Yeah. We met outside, still masked up. Cause it's like, especially cause it's like, cause once again, it's not just you. It's just like anyone you come across.
Dude, it made me really happy when we played Fall Guys, the 1 or 2 times or whatever that we played. And then you texted me like the next day and you were like, dude, I hadn't laughed like that in so long.
No, legit. It was the first night. It was what? Me, you, was it Joe and Brett?
Joe and Brett, yeah.
It was so good. But that's also like, it wasn't just because of like the content. Like it was always my favorite to be on Table Talk with you and Joe. And when we were doing the DeFranco Does, because it's just like, they're paying us for this. And I say I was the one writing checks, but it's like, but the fact that we were getting paid for it is like, it was so fun. It was so fun. And I like, cause you guys have a lot of layers. Cause there's like the presentation, comedian angle. And then like part of that obviously gets rolled up into your real life, but then sometimes the real life stuff is just raw and vulnerable. And it was just a good time, man. Yeah.
Good times.
But I mean, you guys have your podcast now, and you have your dynamic banter.
Yeah, I mean, I have my share of social interaction with funny people, but it's so not the same that we can't be in the same fucking room together.
Yeah, no, it is like it took a lot of convincing from Amanda for me to like even do the laptop version of this, because it's just like it's such a different feel. And so that's like a big part of it has been like literally like if we were doing in person, give me, you can do the thing where it's like we book people. I was like, I really only want to talk to like friends and, and people that like I admire. And so like this way. Yeah. But yeah, it's so much harder.
Yeah, it's so hard. You're right. It's easier when you can just shoot the shit with someone and not worry about like, is this unprofessional? Does this suck? Like, do people like watching shit this way? Like, and I think people understand. And even more so, it's like, it's important for us to be able to like those Fall Guys sessions. That's like my new therapy, essentially. Yeah. Like, because it's literally just like forgetting everything and just chatting with your friends. And it's like, it's so essential. It's essential. That's why I just think it's like, it's important. Like I'm pushing everybody to be like, get a PlayStation or get an Oculus or something, and let's do something. Like the other day, dude, and you got it. Like, do you have an Oculus at all? Or
we actually Quest? Just got 2 Oculus 2s. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So the other day, Matt Robb set up a movie viewing in VR where we were all in like a virtual reality movie theater and we're all like in our avatars and we're like drawing like penises and poop all over the place. And we're just like laughing and hanging out in a fake movie theater, watching the same movie together. And I was like, I think I can make this quarantine thing work if I could do shit like this all the time.
Yeah.
Because it felt like really hanging out with my friends. You got to join us, dude. You got to join us in this VR shit.
I'm down. I just started setting it up, and then 30 minutes into me like downloading some of the first stuff where it's like, do you want Rec Room? And do you want this?
Yeah.
My son was like, I felt like the worst father ever because I set it up because it's like the way the Oculus 2 works because it's all portable. It's like, it has the 4 cameras and you just like, you have to mark your area, your like safe space. Yeah. And so I just see him staring at me and then I'm like testing it out. And it's like, it's so cruel to be doing this in front of a small child because he's like, it looks like you're having the time of your life right in front of him. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Another episode of I'm Monetizing Conversations I'm Having with Friends to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode, herohealth.com/DeFranco. You know, remembering to take medication can be tough. Forgetting is annoyingly easy. I mean, I know from personal experience. But what can be even harder is if you're helping someone you care about with their own pills, and that's why Hero is so amazing. Basically, Hero makes it simple and easy to make sure you and your loved ones always stay on track and get the right meds at the right time every time. You know, this can be your new medicine cabinet. The Hero pill dispenser sorts all of your daily medications and delivers them with the push of a button. It is really just that simple. And if the medication is not taken on schedule, the Hero app will send a notification to you, a family member, or any other listed caregiver, making sure that a dose is never missed. Like I said, from personal experience, I can tell you that a daily reminder is key. It is something that will keep you sane and healthy, especially when you have a hectic schedule. And a Hero membership includes the app, the pill dispenser, and their 24/7 customer support for just $1 a day. They even have an optional service that delivers medication directly to your door as well. And right now, if you go to herohealth.com/DeFranco, you'll get 50% off the initiation fee and a 30-day risk-free trial with a money-back guarantee. So yeah, check it out. Do not forget herohealth.com/DeFranco. Be sure to check out Hero Health today. But with that said, thank you, you're welcome, and back to the podcast. Wait, Steve, am I correct that you are now connected via your phone?
Yeah, I'm tethered to this call. Dude,
so this podcast is now costing you money, so thank you.
No, I have unlimited 5G that's throttled by AT&T, not sponsored.
Like 5G or 5G?
Well, 5G.
Where he's using air quotes for the half of the audience that actually listens, and I always forget whenever I do put something physical on this fucking thing.
We keep having connection issues, and I never, dude, of all the things that I fucking record and stream and
I'm
play,
surprised.
and it's the first time.
It's okay.
It's stupid.
It's okay, Steve. I won't hold it against you.
All right, I appreciate that.
I don't want to push you over the edge. I see you right there. Looking. I feel like every time I go on Instagram, you're doing some fucking dance on your porch, and I'm just like, that's Steve, but also that's a stressed out Steve.
It's like I have to do it. I have to do it because it spreads an image of maintaining physical activity in a way, but also like people really like it. It brightens people's day, and I'm like, all right, well, if I like doing it, if you like seeing it, then that's a win for me. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I will say, like having kids, it has given me a pass that is not necessary because I'm a grown ass person who shouldn't really care, but like to do like more goofy shit. And right. I feel like you have that confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've established it really well. It takes a lot of time to be like, hey, I'm gonna fuck up a lot, and I'm gonna be really goofy and weird, and I guess I can't make sacrifices to that because I can't help it.
Steve, is there a movie? Maybe it's coming out soon. Maybe it's just. It would be something that you wish that they would make that they are not making that would make it so you're like, okay, I will risk going to a movie theater. They're like, guess what? Turns out there was actually a 4th Star Wars movie from the originals.
George Lucas had a secret sequel to Return of the Jedi that he shot in 1983.
Just for him. It was like it was like the biggest flex that no one's ever known about.
Right. And it's like Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher all in their regular clothes going like, Luke, how are you doing? And
so he just like, he paid them on the side. It's like, it's fan fiction level.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, I think there is. I was trying to think of what it could be. And there was a time where I really loved Michael Jackson a lot.
Yeah, I think you and most of the world for a while there. I like that. Like you're like, just, it's a kind of crazy thing. I was a big fan of. I think they called him the King of Pop.
Michael Jackson. You might have heard of him, the King of Pop. No, but now it's like, it's hard to like Michael Jackson because it's unclear what was really going on with that man. But if somehow Disney was like, we've done a 4K complete restoration of Captain EO in 3D, and you could go to your local theater and for one night only you could see a beautifully remastered, like gorgeous new print of Captain EO in 3D, I think I'd see the fuck out of that. I'd be socially distant, but I'd see the fuck out of it.
Okay. For a second there, I thought you were gonna say and then I forgot we were talking about movie. No, I forgot we were talking about movies for a second, and I thought you were going to say a remake of Moonwalker, his video game. It's so weird.
Dude,
like,
I'd go for that too.
I love it. Yeah, there's like probably a huge chunk of people that don't realize he made a video game where you could be 1 to 4 Michael Jacksons.
Yeah,
saving young children.
Dude, that's based on a movie.
What?
Yes. It's a movie called Moonwalker, and is
he in it?
Yes, and it's okay.
What?
It's.
What?
I'm looking at it on my shelf. I got a bootleg version of it from some convention, dude. It's like, it opens with like Michael Jackson's life, like documentary style. It shows like Jackson 5 stuff, and it shows like early Michael Jackson solo stuff, and then it shows like him in a park with kids, and then it's like a whole movie.
It is a movie that is liked by 96% of Google users. What?
Dude, it's bonkers. It's Joe Pesci as an evil drug lord trying to sell drugs to children, and Michael Jackson stops him by becoming a robot and killing all of his henchmen.
I never knew this was a fucking movie.
Dude.
I thought it was just a video game. Wait,
I think
it was initially released in Japan?
Oh, I didn't know that.
What the fuck is this?
Dude, it's a trip. It's a trip of a movie. And as a matter of fact, we should do our first ever VR movie theater experience together watching Moonwalker.
Oh my God.
Come on, Phil. Let's watch Moonwalker.
I don't know what the implications are.
We don't have to be alone. We don't have to be.
It was made 3 years after I was born, so it explains why I don't know that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Dude, Michael Jackson turns into a car in that movie. From a human into a car.
Okay.
Where else could you see that?
I might have to go back. I don't.
Come on, buddy. Come on. You know you want to see it.
Does the Jackson estate still get royalties?
It's not officially available, so it would be questionable to obtain a version we could watch, which means almost zero money would be exchanged.
Wait, yeah, I gotta see if there's like a legitimate way, or they like buried this movie.
No way. I think actually, you know what? I think you can buy it in the UK.
Amazon Prime for $2. I like that you're like, if you go to a corner shop and tell the man the secret words.
Knock 3 times, yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, but I think it's like a UK version, and you have to have
What is this? I'm watching the trailer right now.
Oh yeah, dude, it's bonkers. And it has like a lot of like music it has a lot of Michael Jackson music, and then there's like music videos straight up in the middle of the fucking movie.
Oh shit, I'm seeing the robot. There's claymation? What is this fucking movie?
It's bonkers. Dude, I watched the fuck out of that when I was a kid.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if he never got burned during that Pepsi commercial. What? But also, I find myself wondering that about a lot of different things. I'm like, what if this small little thing changed, and what would human history look like? Because I've even thought about that, like with the elections, right? Think of like how few people in 2016, because the Electoral College decided what was going to happen, not only for the states, but the rest of the world, and like everything. Like, think of the billions of people on this planet, and ultimately tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are like, and this is going to change the course of human history. It's so wild to me.
Isn't it interesting? It's like it's sometimes the smallest things too. Like where the fuck did COVID even really come from? Like, would they say that it came from this or that? Or like some tinfoil hat people think that it was created in a lab or something. But whatever it came from was probably so small that we were like, but it affected the whole fucking world. It's so crazy. It's terrifying.
Well, I remember when...
That's why I don't leave the house and I wear milk cartons on my feet.
I'm like, I don't even know. Yes. Tell us more about the milk cartons, Steve.
Yes, they're porous and that you can breathe. It's like Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes wore milk cartons on his feet. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it just speaks to how we can have change. Or every individual can have like a massive impact.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. And if you feel like you don't make a difference or you can't make a difference because you're just little old you in your little old corner of the universe, no way, man. It's just like Gandalf said to Frodo or whatever, or someone said it to Frodo, or Frodo said it or something. Someone said it in Lord of the Rings about how even the smallest things can change the course of the future or whatever. And Frodo took the ring to Mount Doom. That's history, Phil.
I will say, I haven't watched a movie in a long time, but I came across a TikTok and I didn't realize this. I didn't realize that movie happens over so many years. I didn't realize that by the time he gets to Mount Doom, he's essentially an old bastard.
Yeah. And then when he gets home, he lives for like maybe another 5 years, and then he goes, I'm ready to die. And then he just goes and dies with Gandalf.
See, I think that's the way to do it. You essentially live your 20s for 60 years.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and done. And I'm old now.
Where's the boat that takes me to the Grey Havens? I want to get on that. Yeah, that's where they go. Him and Bilbo and Gandalf get onto a boat and they sail to heaven, pretty much. Where's that boat?
When was the last time you watched those movies? I'm wondering if that holds up.
Dude, when the quarantine started, Alana and I were like, we're just going to marathon like trilogies and like sagas. We watched Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, and then we went way down and did like
Blade.
Dude, some of the Blade movies are okay. We did the Twilight movies. I saw the Twilight movies for the first time during quarantine.
I love seeing clips of it pop up, and you're just like, that is horrendous acting,
dude. It doesn't make sense to me.
It also, it makes sense from a
business perspective.
But it's wild though, because you actually you look at Robert Pattinson's and Kristen Stewart, right? Yeah, their work later, and you're like, they are fantastic.
They're incredible. Yeah.
They're great at their job. And then you just you look back to just the bizarre insanity. Like someone, I think one of the last scenes I saw, there was the fight scene that happens in the final one where it's like, you know what happens, but then but two,
which I wish was real,
the baseball scene where they're
I don't remember the baseball scene.
Yeah, it's just like the vampire family playing baseball, and it's like I'll send you a clip after the podcast, and it's just so
like
fucking
a Far
strange.
Side comic.
It's so it's almost, I would call it anime-esque, but then it feels offensive to the whole genre.
No, it is very anime-esque. Actually, I'll go ahead and say it. Yeah, I'll take the heat for that.
All I remember from that franchise is the weird moment where they're like, and he is imprinted on your child.
That's bonkers.
And he's always got that child's back.
Yeah, and one day they're gonna get married. Dude, what the fuck? That's not okay. You can't be like, hey, that toddler over there, that's my wife.
Gonna be. It's like, no, that's not even questionable. That might just straight be illegal. If it's not, let's change the laws. Let's change the laws right now so it is.
Dude, you know what's funny about the acting and how you were talking about how Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart are like amazing actors but in Twilight they're just, it's terrible. I feel the same way about, I don't want to get so much shit for this. I feel the same way about the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, like Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Liam Neeson. These are like amazing A-list, fantastic, like Oscar-winning, Oscar-nominated actors. And you watch them in the Star Wars movies and they're like, I'm here to see a treaty in the Senate. And it's like, what's happening? Well, who's directing these people?
The only person that's questionable with is Natalie Portman, who I think has a rather good track record. But Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor, I believe both, if they haven't plainly said it, it is very obvious. I know Ewan has, where he just likes to act. He's like a journeyman. Yeah. Like the fact that he's in like Big Fish and then the Star Wars movies, and then he can be like super serious or super funny. Like that dude's got range, and I think that dude just likes to work. But I think
which one was he in where he was like a nervous kind of guy and he was like really friendly and kind of like, fuck, I can't even remember. He did that Winnie the Pooh movie.
Yeah. Christopher Robin. Yeah.
Christopher Robin. Yeah.
Like and that's the thing is like you with a movie like with him, you're like, this could be amazing, or it could just be it could be like some same.
It could be something he's doing for his kids, or because he wants to buy a new yacht or something.
But like Liam Neeson, he actually has acting chops. Right, and he's been in some of the biggest, most important movies. And then he will also be in like some straight to DVD quality shoot 'em up.
Yeah, but he's also so good in that though. Like I think he like, and to be fair, I think it's like Ewan McGregor does just fine in the prequels, but Natalie Portman is like, why is she? Well, who's for? Like she's here against her will or something. It seems like, but Liam Neeson is like, I think. Now that I think about it, because we also watched all of the Star Wars movies in quarantine. So we started with the prequels and we were watching them in order. I think Liam Neeson might be the best actor in all of the prequels.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like and he's, even though he's only in the first one, but like,
what's his face?
Of all of them. Hayden Christensen?
Yeah, I was going to call him Jumper. But okay, actually, wait. So, I mean, has he popped back up and done anything meaningful? I'm trying to think.
I think he did. He did a few things here and there, and now people are like, they love him because he only shows up sometimes, and he really loves the Star Wars fans, and he leans really into Star Wars, and so I think people really like that. But I don't think he's done much, man. I really don't. Same with Jake Lloyd, the kid that played young Vader, too.
Let's see. He was in Takers. Yeah, he kind of hopped off for a minute.
Yeah.
Outcast. But I mean, I think that sometimes happens. It looks like there's someone that's going to blow up, and then I think Jumper probably underperformed, and then they were like, well, never mind then.
Jumper could have been cool. It was an interesting concept. I feel like that was one of the really movies isn't that one of the ones we saw for our midnight movie show or something?
God, I'm trying to remember.
It's possible.
There was like a 4-week period where I was very angry with you because your reviews didn't match up in any way. I can't remember. I have to go back to the channel. It's been so long.
We were pretty polar opposites when it came to movies. But that's what made it kind of unique, because we had both perspectives.
Yeah, I think the only time we came together on stuff was maybe when it was like a comedy. Because I think we both go into it, because I don't think that you're a snob. Like I think there are a lot of people that are I was about to call it in the funny business. A lot of comedians that like can be very critical. And but I think we both go in going like, I really want to like this. I really hope this is good.
I always do. I can't remember the last time I really disliked a movie. It's been a while, but I also kind of skip movies now. Like I skip a lot of movies. I don't know. I feel like I used to be more snobby, and then I got to a point where I was like, hey, you like what you like, and just understand that these are my opinions and I'm not the fucking end all of this shit. So it's like, don't just think that I'm like, this is the word of God of this movie, It's just like, I like what I like and you like what you like, and just, enjoy whatever the fuck you want. But also be okay with me being like, that was shit, know? And like, cause that's fine, right? Like it shouldn't ruin your experience if I thought something was shitty.
Hey, it's just me interrupting my own podcast to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of A Conversation With, DoorDash. We all know life gets busy with work, the emails, the kids, the laundry, the millions of other things on the to-do list. Why not just give yourself one less thing to do and let DoorDash take care of your next meal? Ordering is easy. You just open up the DoorDash app, you choose what you want to eat, and boom, your food's there, left outside your door, safely with their new contactless delivery drop-off setting. With over 300,000 partners in the US, Puerto Rico, Canada, and Australia, you can support your local go-tos or choose from your favorite national chains. And right now, many of your favorite local restaurants are still open, some just for delivery only. So just open up the DoorDash app, select your favorite local restaurant, and your food will be left at your door. And right now, our listeners can get $5 off their first order of $15 or more and 0 delivery fees for your first month when you download the DoorDash app and enter in code DeFranco. It's $5 off your first order and 0 delivery fees for a month when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code DeFranco. Don't forget, that is code DeFranco for $5 off your first order with DoorDash. But with that said, back to the podcast. What do you think's going to happen with this newest trilogy of Star Wars? Do you think like these actors will blow up? I feel like John Boyega's probably got the most hope, but that was like, but he went into it like if you loved Attack the Block, like you immediately fell in love with him and you got excited that he was in there. Probably angry at the trilogy because he was incredibly underutilized just for like a character and talent. But then it's like, I wonder from that, like who's gonna blast off from it.
I mean, Daisy Ridley is incredible. I think you nailed it with John Boyega. Oh, but also fucking Oscar Isaac.
That's true, but Oscar, I think Oscar Isaac is like, he's already pretty like great, and I think, but I don't know if it's like,
you're talking about newcomers like John Boyega and Daisy Ridley.
But hitting that point of Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Or like, maybe not necessarily Mark Hamill. Yeah, I would say more Harrison Ford, right? If you say like anyone from the originals.
I would say Oscar Isaac is kind of doing a Harrison Ford type thing. Yeah. Like he's doing a lot of different movies. He's doing like huge blockbuster things, and then he's doing like indie things like Ex Machina and things like that.
That's right. Yeah.
I think he's doing a Harrison Ford thing, yeah. And it almost seems like Daisy Ridley might be doing, I mean, I don't know, she kind of disappeared a little too, right?
I can't think off the top of my head, but that's the one thing with me is like I'm very bad when it comes to that. You're like you're in front of me, I got you. The moment you're gone, I have a goldfish memory when it comes to entertainment.
I think John Boyega, because he certainly during all the Black Lives Matter stuff that's still ongoing or whatever, but
he's just raw.
Really like
I think
he's so raw.
I think that's the thing. Is like he stands out in a way that is definitely different, because like whether it be with Black Lives Matter or him even like having no problem whatsoever, and I say good for him going after Star Wars fans, right, for especially like I would say not all but toxic ones, it's like, and you're like, oh, you're like a real person, and I think people more than ever take that.
I think it's interesting too, because he even went out and said that he felt disappointed. And I'm paraphrasing, but he said that he felt disappointed in how his character was used, kind of like how you were saying he was underutilized. And he was disappointed in that and was vocal about it recently. And it kind of reminds me of Harrison Ford back in the day being like, not really being a Star Wars fan and wanting to be killed off like right away, and like, you know, not really caring and never going to any Star Wars event or anything.
Right.
And it's certainly one of those things where it's like, it's interesting, like, because I love Star Wars so much, I would be honored to be in a Star Wars. But a lot of these people are just like, that's just another gig, you know, being in a Star Wars, and it's like, it's not my world. And I think John Boyega's realness in the same way that Harrison Ford was real about his feelings about Star Wars, about his Star Wars movies makes him more kind of like, oh fuck, I want to keep an eye on that guy.
Right.
Because he's like really raw, he's real, he's honest with his emotions, and he's not like, I love working with Disney and J.J. Abrams. Like, he's like, no, I had problems with it, and here's what they are. I'm like, fuck yeah, go for it, dude.
But I do wonder what it's going to do to his career. But then, like, as far as like another actor, I know that it's like we're just kind of going into a different place, but like I'm very interested to see what happens with Tom Holland. Like,
dude, serious,
because he's very, very talented. He's popped up in other movies, but I haven't seen anything fully stick yet. Like I finally got around to watching, I think it's from like 2 years ago, The Current War.
How's that?
It's okay.
Can you understand what he says?
Yeah, it happened, and he is also there. And I need to watch the one with him and Robert Pattinson on Netflix, but that it felt like that was like a flash in the pan sort of moment.
Dude, you should watch. Wait, you're saying Tom Holland, the guy that's Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Okay, I was thinking of
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy's established. Tom Hardy's a fucking badass. Like Tom Hardy,
dude.
That dude's got range. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, he can be Venom, but he can be fucking anybody. Crush the role. Like I have a great respect for anyone that can do a fucking solo movie, and I think it's part of the reason why Tom Hardy and Ryan Reynolds, those guys. Ryan Reynolds, obviously, for multiple reasons, but like they're standout talents. Like
I agree.
Locke is amazing. Buried is amazing.
Dude, Buried is incredible.
How the fuck do you hold someone's attention for 90 minutes and like
inside a box?
Inside a box. It's amazing.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with Ryan Reynolds. I don't know why.
Right here. Let's do it.
I know.
Why?
Look,
actually, no. Explain it, because I want to see where it's coming from.
It's a personal. It's like it's my own projections of my own feelings on Ryan Reynolds, but he just seems like the guy that treated people like me like absolute shit in school.
So? Yeah.
And then he grew up and became a star, and then was like, "Oh, I was a piece of shit, but now I'm gonna be charming, and now I'm gonna like be America's sweetheart or whatever." I just see a guy that bullied nerds like me in school when I see Ryan Reynolds, and then I see him in things like Buried, and I'm like, oh, you're not playing into. I mean, he certainly plays into the kind of like douchey, unfiltered kind of like guy. And but when I see him do like dramatic roles like Buried, then I'm like, oh, there's the guy that I can watch and enjoy. But when I see him do like the kind of like jerky kind of like normal guy.
But that's the thing that we have to understand, because I love Ryan Reynolds, but if you want to talk about a guy that we aren't fully aware of who he actually is, that's there because who he is and who he is in as far as like a lot of comedies, whether it be, I mean, talk about like Deadpool all the way back to Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place and Waiting. Yeah. It's like different versions of the same character. And that's also like on Twitter when he's tweeting stuff out or doing like commercials so that he can make what I imagine is going to be hundreds of millions of dollars from his liquor, which, hey, that's great. I haven't had it. Do it. It's one of those things where it's like, we don't have like, but that's for a lot of celebrities. And so I think that's also something we have to catch ourselves with, is like, because I'm hypercritical of people that maintain their fandom when it's like proven that their favorite is like a horrible person, not like accusation, like it happened. Like, there it is.
Right.
But yeah, because I think
you're right. We don't know anything about him. We just know that he's in movies.
But maybe that's the thing. Maybe he's like, that's just his, like, for the movies, he just like kicks on an extra notch and that's just who he is. Maybe that is, or maybe it's a winning model, because you have to question everything now. But that said, I love Ryan Reynolds, and if he wants to be my friend,
you know, I gotta say that there was a recent thing that I had read where he visited children's hospitals and would visit burn victim, like children that are burn victims, and he would go as Deadpool, and he would go like be funny with them and spend time with them. And it's like, all right, well, if you're gonna like take your personal time and go hang out with kids in hospitals, like, all right, you're probably not a bad guy. You're probably a good guy. There's a world where you could be skeptical and be like, this is all for optics and like PR.
Well, I was gonna say, it sounds like you're not at that level, because it's very easy to do that when you see like something that's that good. Like I've seen, like, I don't know this guy on a personal level. I've only come across him several times, but like Markiplier on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people say like that, or a number of people say that is like forced and he's not as nice of a guy. Everything I've ever seen from that, like, because we've been out here for a long time, you grow, you learn how to identify who's being like fake about being a good guy. Like he genuinely seems like it. If it turned out not to be the case, I'd be like, oh, what the fuck? And like the work that he does with Make-A-Wish and stuff on top of that, like there are a few people in our space that I'm just like, no, that's just a genuine guy. So, but because I come across those guys, I then have to check my cynicism, because I'm like, maybe I'm throwing it out at other people incorrectly. And I haven't had the privilege to actually see them do it in person. So, and because, you know, even to a point, like I think I have to get to that mindset of like, some people are just that nice. Like I've realized later in life that my primary source of like happiness, it kind of actually brings us right about around to the beginning when we were talking about like, how do we feel good about ourselves and how do we get happy? Like I've realized that my main way of getting it now is actually acts of service, whether it be for like a good cause or whether it be for my kids primarily. Like that's where I feel the most fulfilled. Just because you see the impact you can have on another human being, which is happening with the content you're making. It's happening with the content I'm making. I feel like it's hard for us. I'm sure you've gotten those messages of like, your content got me through this hard time. It's hard to feel that through a text, but then when you see the person or you do that extra thing with them, it's so meaningful.
And you know, and to that point, like whenever someone asks me about my dad, or when I talk about my dad, I always say that like, well, you know, he's this machismo guy that likes soccer and we're just kind of different, but I love him and he was always a good dad and blah, blah, blah. Like I say kind of like the funny things about like that, but something I learned from my dad was acts of service. Like my dad was always helping when people needed help, and especially for his family, right? Like for me and my brother, like obviously he'd do anything, you know, just like I'm sure your dad and you to your kids, you do anything for your kids. And my dad would do so many little things. Like when I finally learned to drive, I would drive the car somewhere or to work, and then I'd come home and then I'd go to bed. And my dad would work from like, he'd get up at 4 a.m. and then he'd come home at like 6 o'clock at night. And so he was working hard, you know, to provide for the family or whatever. And then I would go and drive the car somewhere, and it's just like a small thing, and it would be like almost on empty. And then I would go to sleep at 3 a.m, and then I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for my 4 o'clock shift at the video game store, and the car gas would be filled. Like my dad somehow found the time between working hours and hours and hours, providing for the family, to get into the car before going to work, filling it up, bringing it back to make sure that I had gas to get to where I needed to go. And that's like, even on a small scale, that's an act of service. That's like, you didn't have to do that. I work, I make my own money. I could fill the gas in the car, but my dad did shit like that. And it taught me that like, you do that because you love and you want to give something to someone who maybe it makes their life a little bit easier. And I think that getting that from my mom and dad, even more so from my mom, it kind of just comes back to you as an adult, and you're like, well, I can help the people I love, and I will always be here for the people I love, my friends, my family, what have you. But that has to extend a bit outside of that too, right? Like there's love for everybody. There's enough love for everybody. And I think that it feels good to do that, because it's like you're helping somebody. You're helping someone if you're having an easy time. you know, whether you're not having an easy time or not, but when you are having an easy time, it's nice to be like, who's having a hard time? Let me help that person, you know? It's just, I don't know, it just fucking feels right.
Yeah, maybe that's the place to end. One, think of the little acts of service you can do to make those around you just in a slightly better place. And then also, I mean, on the opposite end, question maybe why some people that should be there for you are not, because I think you know what, we're in a time of transition. We are in a pandemic time of transition. Maybe it also gives you the time to reevaluate who around you actually makes your life better, and
very important,
and who's kind of at that middle ground that could be that, and then who's just dragging your ass down, because we all at some point have those people.
Dude, absolutely. Relatable. Hashtag relatable.
Shut up, Steve. You ruined the moment. Fuck you. Oh, he damned. He damned. It's over.
How can I not damn after doing a hashtag, you know?
Steve.
Yes, Phil?
I love you, Face. Thank you for being on the podcast. We do have to play Fall Guys. Also, you have to text me. Here's the thing. I don't like saying this because I feel like a douchebag, but I've had to turn my notifications off on any video game system because some people know me. Okay, I hate saying that. It sounds like a douchey thing.
Oh, so you might miss the notifications.
I miss your notifications every time. I'm like, it's always like 2 hours ago. I'm like, that's why I'm like, are you still on?
All right. Well, then I will make it a point to text you.
Thank you, because I am your best friend now. I just said it.
Yeah,
I said it, so it's true. I've done nothing on my end to make you feel that way.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
That's not true. That's not true.
You specifically attacked me the last 3 times we've talked.
I think the last text I have from you is everyone knows you're high.
So that's you know, I'm just going to do that for is that a 7-year run into the ground joke at this point? Yes,
dude. But I love it every time because it's
less fun. It's less fun now that people know that you smoke.
Yeah, but like it's still scary to get a text like that. but like in such a fun way, because it's so funny to just be like, hey, I'm because you know when you're super high and you're like doing something and you feel like you're doing it right and you're not seeming high, but when someone's like, everyone knows you're high, you're like, I know, now everything I said is stupid. I'm gonna rethink everything. Well, it's just so funny to me. It's so funny.
What I've found is that apparently I'm very stoic when people are talking to me, and I'm hard to read, and I'm also just then like that when I'm high. So apparently it's not super obvious, but in my head I'm just like, everybody knows I need to get out of here.
Right. It's anyway. A really please never stop doing that because it's so funny to me. I love recently there was like a Twitch stream I was doing and I had no idea you had hopped in for a second. And I think you texted me. People were like, Phil's here. And then you texted me, everyone in the stream knows you're high. It was a recent one. I love it. I love that you still do it.
You know, you're my favorite. You're the goodest boy.
Oh, I love you, buddy. Thank you.
I love you too. Thanks for doing this. And make sure you go to youtube.com/thevalleyfolk and or Steve Zaragoza's Instagram, Steve Zaragoza at Steve Zaragoza's taint. That's what it is.
Dude, wait. I also have to plug something really quick.
Yeah, do it.
So Joe Beretta
created a game. They all clicked off. I'm sorry.
They're gone. They don't want to hear it.
Okay,
first, let's do some ads. No, Joe Beretta created a game called the Movie Game, and it's really fun, and we've had a lot of people on, and I'd love to have you on at some point. This isn't me cornering you to invite you into something, but Joe has created a physical version of the game that we're launching on November 13th as a Kickstarter. So we're hoping that we can turn this thing into a real game, and everyone's been telling us to turn it into a real game since we've been putting them on the Valley Folk channel. And so now we're like, fuck it. We know people that have made games. We have friends, like we know the guy that made Red Flags and
Super Punch.
Super Punch, or Super Fight. And it's like, why can't we do it? So we're making a game, dude. So and the Kickstarter launches November 13th. So just watch our socials for that. And if you like it, maybe check it out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to the 3 people still here.
And one of them is my mom.
She's like, I watch everything. Stevie
she
does.
totally does. I'm so nervous. She totally does.
That's a nightmare. All right. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy. See ya.